probably the most tragic day in history of Kentucky. It's just bad all over, and stamping ground was the latest problem. About an hour ago, I guess, that little community was just flattened.
Day of disaster. A WHAS Radio News special. A sequential review of the April 3rd tornado destruction in Kentucky and southern Indiana. Here's Byron Crawford.
For most of us, tornadoes were only things that struck other people. That is, until April 3rd. Actually, the first disquieting thoughts to penetrate this false feeling of security occurred 2 days earlier, when on April 1st, a twister tore through the community of Campbellsburg, not far from Louisville, and within 20 seconds destroyed the downtown area.
There are piles of brick spread in all directions down here. A tin roof on the lumber yard looks like a giant has been at it with a can opener. And I think the best way to sum it up would say that the actual business portion of town and then a section or two of a residential street have sustained severe damage.
WHAS traffic tracker Dick Gilbert describing from 700 feet how Campbellsburg looked on April 2nd, unaware that in just 24 hours he himself would be in danger as he flew over Louisville watching a tornado rake the city's eastern section and destroy the street where he lived as a boy.
A tornado was reported near Hardinsburg and 3 miles northwest of Irvington at 3:45 this afternoon. The severe thunderstorm warning has been changed to a tornado warning for Metro Louisville and Jefferson County, including Meade, Hardin, and Bullitt counties, and the southern Indiana counties of Clark, Harrison, and Floyd. Also, Oldham County in Kentucky. All of those areas under a tornado warning until 5 o'clock this afternoon. Again, repeating, a tornado warning is in effect for Metro Louisville and Jefferson County.
At 4:02, the afternoon of April 3rd, CBS News was interrupted for the first tornado warning for metropolitan Louisville and for Brandenburg. Throughout the day, unusual weather systems had resulted in severe weather bulletins for most of the South and Midwest. Now, serious storm cells were near Louisville. The 4:02 tornado warning was repeated by Chuck Paddock at 4:08. At 4:15, WHAS News Director Glenn Baston called Chief Meteorologist John Burke at the Standiford Field Weather Station.
Since 3 this afternoon, we have a hook echo on the radar about 20 miles southwest of Louisville, moving northeast about 45 to 50 miles per hour. Now this storm will move through Jefferson County in a northeasterly direction, and reports have indicated up to this time that this is a tornado. We've had reports from Hardinsburg. They saw it there. We saw it at Irvington. It's headed in our direction. So generally, people should take precautions for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Looks like it'll blow right through Jefferson County, Glenn. I feel now that the way it's headed, it's going to track from about 240 degrees from the southwest to the airport. I just hesitate to say any specific areas of the county, but I just feel she's going to blow right across the county. Dave Reeves just handed me another report, 6 miles west-southwest of Brandenburg, close to Midway, a tornado near U.S. Highway 60. So there again.
John, we'll let you get back to the radar screen. Thank you much.
Okay, Glenn, you're welcome.
Jeff?
Okay, Glenn Baston, chatting with the chief meteorologist, is that what we'd call him? And John Burke, and bringing us as the complete update picture on the weather situation, and of course more as it happens right here on WHAS. Thank you, Glenn, and it's 4:18. All right, traffic tracker Gilbert, it's a wild afternoon.
Well, we do have a pretty wild and rugged weather picture on our hands here, so be prepared for it as you're driving. The pavements are wet now throughout the driving area. I haven't made it out to the extreme northeast corner yet, but the rest of the picture has wet pavements all the way, lightning and gusty winds, and sprinkles and bursts and gusts. The southwest, I couldn't get out in the extreme southwest on Dixie Highway and out in the Pleasure Ridge Park area. The weather looked a little bit suspicious out there. So you folks out there have to be on your own for a little bit. But the outer loop around the Kentucky Turnpike look pretty good, and Preston is still doing a nice job. No delays over a block long at any of the lights there. Southbound on I-65, starting to slow down now at the horse barns, running a bit heavily out to the Waterson interchange. Drive carefully. Dick Gilbert, Skywatch 84.
A lot of people leaving their work now, getting into cars. And let me briefly review the weather situation. There are severe thunderstorm warnings for a good portion of this area, including Metro Louisville and southern Indiana. But more importantly now, we have a tornado warning which includes all of Metro Louisville and surrounding areas. This is a warning. It will be in effect until 5 o'clock tonight, so be on the lookout, be on guard. We reviewed the rules, suggestions for what you should do if you should spot a tornado. You might be a good idea to, keep a lookout. There have been numerous sightings in and around the area of tornadoes. Not trying to alarm anyone, but we want you to be aware of the situation and know that, should something happen, you can take cover. Now, we are told that tornadoes make a good deal of noise, so you'll probably hear one if if one is around. And like I said, keep an eye out for tornadoes, at least until 5 o'clock. We'll have updates until then from the Weather Bureau and Weather Service. All righty? Okay, we'll continue with music. From WHAS and Jeff Douglas, it's 4:25. This is Sammy Joe and Tell Me a Lie.
Tell me a lie. Say I look familiar.
Chuck Paddock, WHAS News. County police report a tornado sighted at Terry in Greenwood in the southwest section of Jefferson County. They say the tornado is moving in a path directly north. At this time, people in that area should take cover immediately. Again, Jefferson County Police report a tornado sighted at Terry in Greenwood in southwest Jefferson County. People should take cover at this time. Take a portable radio with you if you can and keep posted on the weather. We might, at this point, while we have this tornado sighted in Metro Louisville, go over some of the safety rules that you can take at this point to protect yourself from any damage. In a home, move to a basement if possible. The southwest corner is probably the safest, offers the greatest protection. In a factory, move to an interior section which offers the greatest protection. If you're in open country, as you might be in the southwest part of the county, move away from the tornado if you sight it at a path at right angles to the tornado. If there's no time to escape from the winds, lie flat in the nearest depression such as a ditch or ravine. Again, by Jefferson County Police, a tornado sighted Terry and Greenwood in southwest Jefferson County, just slightly west of Shively. It's moving toward the north. If you live in that area, be prepared to move to a place of safety right now. Take cover. We'll be back in just a few minutes with more information.
Okay, let's just do that one more time, where it was spotted, so that people won't, panic about it. Where was it?
It was sighted at Terry and Greenwood, which is in the southwest part of the county, and it's reportedly moving directly north at this time.
All righty, it's 4:28. We are trying to keep you up to date on all this weather information, and we will continue to do so until the situation is entirely past, okay? Let's see what it looks like from the air with our traffic tracker, Dick Gilbert.
Well, I'm out over Oxmoor Shopping Center now, the Waterson and Shelbyville Road, and checking out the eastern quadrant here. Flashes of lightning now and then, and there's light rain on the bubble. All of the pavements are wet. Traffic is very heavy, and it's slowed down significantly, as you might expect under these conditions. Let's see here. I don't actually physically see any tornado activity at the moment, but it does look highly suspicious down there beyond the Iroquois Park area and out in the southwest. So that appears to be the area that's affected at the moment. All in all, I know of no specific accidents and so forth, but wet pavements, strong gusty winds, I can certainly testify to those, so be extra careful, particularly on bridges and overpasses. Dick Gilbert, Skywatch 84.
There's a shanty in the town on a little bottom ground with the green grass growing all around, all around.
Okay, let's cut in here. Chuck Paddock is here with a phone call. Chuck.
Okay, John Burke is on the phone, and he is about to leave the Weather Service. I understand you've got the tornado sighted there.
No, I don't see a tornado, but here comes the wind. We're hitting winds up the good gracious sakes alive.
How high is the wind speed at this time?
There's 50 right there. By golly, the whole thing's going, here I'm going, come on.
Okay.
John Burke at the National Weather Service office at the airport. Apparently the tornado activity over there at this time. We'll be checking back as soon as he can get back into that area.
What did he mean by I'm going? It sounded almost like the wind was at the Weather Bureau. Is that what he meant?
John was telling me before we got on that he was going to have to get out of there quick.
Oh, I see.
And apparently he got out of there quicker than he wanted to. We've had tornado activity over southern Louisville at this time in the airport area, and I would suggest that you take cover immediately if you're in any of the factories or in any of the areas there, and primarily at this point the tornado activity is over the airport. That's in southern Louisville, and anybody in that area should take cover at this time. John Burke at the Weather Service reported a visual sighting of it, and he has taken cover at this time, and I think it would be wise if anybody in that area would move to an interior hallway of their home. If they have no basement, go to the basement immediately. Take a radio with you if you have one. And if you're in a factory, move to the strongest part of the factory, the most strong construction, and for all purposes, stay away from windows. Here's Jeff with the safety rules.
Let me see if I got this straight before you run off, Chuck. I apparently didn't understand you, and I don't want to, press the point, but I was a little confused. Was the fact that they were having difficult weather at the Weather Bureau itself?
Definitely. He said he had sighted the high winds and that it was just a matter of a few moments before he felt there would be a tornado there, and apparently at this point there is a tornado at the airport. Perhaps Dick Gilbert could check in and tell us what he sees at this point.
Well, okay, Dick, if you're up there in Skywatch 84, what can you add? Well, apparently he might be on another frequency or something. Let me go over these rules here.
Okay, good. Maybe Dick will check back with us.
They are important. Seek inside shelter, preferably in a tornado cellar, basement, or steel-framed or reinforced concrete building of substantial construction. Stay away from windows. In homes, the corner of the basement toward the tornado, usually the southwest corner, generally offers the greatest safety. People in houses without basements will receive some protection by taking cover under furniture, such as a table against inside walls. Now, in office buildings, stand in an interior hallway or lower floor, preferably in the basement. In schools, go to basement if available. If there is no basement but building is of reinforced construction, stay inside away from windows whenever possible. Go to interior hallway on the lowest floor. Avoid auditoriums and gymnasiums with large, poorly supported roofs. And finally, in open country, move away from the tornado's path at a right angle. If there is no time to escape, lie flat in the nearest depression, such as a ditch or a ravine. It's 4:40. Bob Johnson has joined us. Bob?
Jeff, the city police say that a tornado is moving across the southern part of the city. It was spotted near the fairgrounds, moving from the south generally toward the north. They say that it has touched down near the fairgrounds and apparently damaged Freedom Hall. We don't have any more details at this time other than the fact that people in the Louisville area should take cover.
Let's see if we can contact our traffic tracker, Dick Gilbert, in Skywatch 84 for a report. Dick?
Yes.
Okay, can you fill us in anything more on what you can see from your vantage point?
Well, it's a spectacular sight. The low clouds, very black low clouds. Let's see. At the moment, they're just about over Bowman Field out at the Taylorsville Road area, and it is swirling around, and it looks like smoke underneath it. There is no real tight, definitive tornado as such. It's still turning in a large... Yes, there's one now. Started, yes, dipping down from the bottom of the cloud, and let's see, that will be over in the Highlands, and probably along Bardstown Road and somewhere near Eastern Parkway is where I guess that one is. The power transformers have been blowing irregularly in the path of this thing, big large explosions of blue-white light that helped to clock it pretty well. Now it's clearing up very nicely behind it. As a matter of fact, just south of Standiford, it's clear. I can see all of the hills. The Iroquois Park area is just about out of it now. But it is definitely moving up toward the Crescent Hill water tank now, and I'm starting to get some strong, very strong gusts way out here on Bardstown Road near the GE plant. That's the way it looks to me. Be very, very careful. Dick Gilbert, Skywatch 84.
Jeff, Dave Reeves of the Weather Service is on the phone. Dave, you've seen something.
Yes, we've been tracking this tornado on radar, and we just witnessed it past north of Standiford Field here. It was north of the fairgrounds. To us it appeared like it maybe went over the Executive Inn area, but I'm sure it was north of there. It was moving almost due east, and it was quite a black shaft, and you could see debris lifting up in the shaft. So anyone in eastern Jefferson County and the counties just east of Jefferson should, I would say, take cover at once if possible.
Dave, is there any indication that there is more than one tornado in the vicinity?
No. Once these echoes get right overhead on our radar, we just see one big spot, and it's quite difficult until they move out away from us, say 10 miles east of us, then we start picking them up again. But we didn't have any indication there would be more than one funnel. But it's not uncommon at all to have, 2 or 3 funnels. We did see this one touch down, and it was quite a swirl.
All right, David, I suppose that the rules for taking cover in tornadoes then should apply, and people should definitely, if they can, move out.
Definitely. If you're in eastern Jefferson County or the counties just east of Jefferson, very definitely I would take some kind of shelter if I could find it.
All right, thank you, Dave Reeves of the Weather Service. Jeff?
We've had these sightings, and Bob Johnson was in here with a report from the police about some of the activity that had happened out at Freedom Hall. There were some reports that there was some damage out there at the fairgrounds. We don't have much more on that story. We will. It's 4:44 on WHAS. We have sort of suspended our normal operations here as this tornado situation develops. We have News Director Glenn Baston here, and Glenn, what have we now?
Well, we've just talked with Freedom Hall, and they're still trying to assess the damage out there, I should say, at the Kentucky Fair and Exposition Center. And according to an official, they really don't know what the damage is there. They do know that apparently one of the horse barns was damaged by these winds. They do not think at this time that Freedom Hall has been hurt. Let me emphasize, if I may, Jeff, that we will pass along all the information that is available from the Weather Service, from Dick Gilbert, from the police. Please do not tie up the phone lines of these agencies. If you have something to report, a specific item, please report it to the police, but don't call them or someone else to find out what's going on. Jeff?
Glenn, at this point, we have a report from City Police that the tornado is still rather strong and is moving into the St. Matthews area at this time.
Okay, Jeff has something new to add, I think.
Glenn, why don't you just come over here very informally? You can't do it on that line. I've got John Burke of the Weather Service on the line here, and we'll just make the right connections, and we'll be...
All right. Yes, John.
Yeah, that storm, we could watch it come right in on the airport here, Glenn. There was no funnel in it until it actually got right to the airport. Then a funnel developed right in the parking lot north of the terminal building and moved on to the east. And it's moving eastward 45 to 50 miles per hour. So this was 10 minutes ago, so that's over in the eastern part of Jefferson County now, moving on eastward. However, Glenn, we do have another big storm down south of us, headed east, and it's headed in the direction of Mount Washington, another one about the same size. And so for the next hour or so, the Mount Washington area certainly should be on the alert for developments and take all proper precautions, like we were mentioning earlier.
Okay, now this cloud, this storm that is moving through Jefferson County, does it appear on your radar to be moving out of the heavily populated area?
Yes, it's over east of, I would say east of Bowman Field now, and moving on eastward at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. And as I say, when it went through here, it didn't have a funnel when it came in, but the funnel developed right here in the parking lot. And then it moved on the eastward. We could see it move on off to the east. And that's when I left the area before because I was going to get out of there. I was right next to the window, and I was talking to Chuck, and I just thought it was time for me to leave.
I can't really say that I blame you. The Mount Washington storm, what does it appear right now to, does it appear to be another severe one?
Yes, another one, and on the intensity of the one we had, and it could very well contain a tornado also. So those people in that area to the south of Louisville, across through into the Mount Washington area there and on across in that direction, from Oklahoma on across through there, just take precautions. I would certainly advise getting down on the basement with your portable radio and stay on top of the situation.
Did these two storms that you're talking about now appear to be the major ones that are developing at the moment?
Well, at the moment, yes. We've had development and dissipation throughout the afternoon. Storms build, and then after a while, they tend to dissipate once they use up all the energy available. I would imagine this storm that just passed through here has probably reached maximum, and then probably approaching a dissipating stage at this time. But nevertheless, in the east of Jefferson County, it should be on the alert for the next hour or so anyhow.
What did you estimate the winds in this particular one at?
We probably had a wind measurement here. Let me check just a moment. We got one on the ground at each.
Well, we're talking with John Burke, who is chief meteorologist for the Louisville National Weather Service.
Stand by just a moment, Clint.
All right.
73-knot winds here at the airport, translated into miles per hour, a little over 80.
So we could well be counting up some damage before too long.
I'm sure, yeah. Dave Reeve just mentions another storm at on the ground at Elizabethtown, and just about as strong as the one we had here, and that one's also moving east-northeast about 45 miles an hour.
All right, so right now we have three storms active, one around Elizabethtown moving to the east-northeast, another one that is moving toward Mount Washington, and one just moving out of eastern Jefferson County.
Right.
Will this one in eastern Jefferson County, by chance, John, skip the river and go into southern Indiana?
The way it's headed now, it looks like it'll stay on this side of the river for a while, yet it isn't moving that much toward the northeast. I would think persons in Oldham and Trimble and Henry County, I hate to mention that term, Henry County, but nevertheless, those areas are in the path of this activity headed off to the east here.
Okay, John. Why don't we just keep this line open if we might, and if you have something to add, you can merely pick it up and we can get straight on the air.
Okay.
Right.
You want to just hang on here then, huh?
All right, fine. Jeff, I think Chuck Paddock just walked in with probably some additional information from the police.
Well, the only thing we have at this point from the police is that they have cited that tornado and that it is moving, they say, in the direction at this point of the St. Matthews area, and they warn people in the St. Matthews area to take cover at this time. They say the storm, from their indications, is still as strong as it was when it passed over the airports in southern Louisville.
Dick Gilbert in Skywatch 84, can you hear us?
Yes.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
I've been talking to the newsroom, Jeff. I'm right over the fairgrounds. First of all, let's talk about traffic. This tornado touched down right here at the horse barns on the North-South Expressway, and it has turned over several cars. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would say 8 automobiles have been blown across the road or turned over. There's an ambulance here working in the road. Traffic northbound is moving and trickling through here one at a time. Southbound, well, yes, the same thing, getting way over on the shoulder. Now, the wind damage hit the roof of Freedom Hall, and it tore 3 big holes in the roof. Then it moved over on the eastern end of the building and ripped off about a third of the roof here. The horse barns are no more. It totally wiped out the horse barns. All of the mobile homes and trailers behind the Freedom Hall have been completely torn up. And over by the, I think it's the Twilight Drive-In here, we've had about 4 trailers completely torn apart. There is fire equipment and emergency equipment in there. Now be very careful. On Crittenden Drive, I see more police cars and emergency equipment heading down toward the trailer park there that's just off the southwest corner. Apparently this is where the twister first touched down, and this really caused a problem. Avoid that north-south expressway. They can only get 1 or 2 cars through it at a time, and try and use some other route. That's the way it looks from up here. Dick Gilbert, Skywatch 84.
This is Chuck Paddock. Can you see the storm at this time from your viewpoint?
No longer, Chuck. The only dark area I see is, let's see. I would put that out beyond Indian Hills on the river, heading toward, say, Harrods Creek at this moment. I'm looking back now the other direction, looking for this other one you mentioned at Elizabethtown, and it still looks clear down the river there past West Point. There is a gray area over toward Fort Knox. That's the way it looks now. We're in a kind of a clear area at the moment.
Okay, we'll be checking back with you in about 5 minutes, shortly after 5 o'clock.
Day of disaster continues now. Here's Byron Crawford.
The first real indication of the scope of tornado damage in Louisville came at 5:12 with this graphic report from Dick Gilbert.
I want to summarize what I can see from up here. Apparently, as far as I could tell, the first touchdown was just north of Stanford Field at the Twilight Drive-In, and it started with the trailers. It moved across the fairgrounds. It flattened the horse barns. It went through the little community just north of Audubon Park, and then it went through the cemetery at Newburgh and Eastern Parkway, uprooting giant trees there. Newburgh is blocked completely by these trees, and houses are torn up by the trees falling into them. Then it came across Eastern Parkway and Bardstown Road. It went roaring through the Seneca-Cherokee Park area, absolutely denuding a portion of that park. There's no trees left. There's nothing but splintered stumps in there for, I can't estimate how many acres are involved. Then it came right between Barrett Junior High School on Grinstead Drive and the Baptist Theological Seminary. It crossed Grinstead Drive right there, leaving this wide swath of total destruction. It came over Pennsylvania Avenue. Well, let's come on up. Stilts and Frankfort, Pennsylvania, Hillcrest, right there at the Frankfort Avenue intersection. It's completely wiped out. Every house is damaged to some extent. Then it came across the Crescent Hill Golf Club, and I'm over Indian Hills right now, and I can't even begin to count. I would guess 200 homes out here have at least the second floor gone. Many of them are completely demolished, and most of them are, the walls are askew, the roof is sagging, and so forth. Trees have been chopped down all the way. Now I'm curving around and following the path of it. It seems to have turned a little bit then toward the east, and this is over the Zachary Taylor area, just north of Zachary Taylor Monument. It cut a swath through this area, again taking the roof and in many cases the second floor off the houses in this area, and then it crossed the Waterson near I-71. By the way, folks, traffic obviously is at a complete standstill in all of these areas that I've talked about. Trees, emergency equipment, everything. It just is not moving at all. Looking ahead here, I-71 is at a standstill. The Waterson is at a standstill here at the intersection, and now wait a minute, just beyond this point, I believe, I'm not sure because I'm still a mile away, but I think this is about the tail end of the worst damage here. This seems to be about where it started lifting and dissipating. So that's the path from Stanford Field up through Crescent Hill and out here into the Waterson and I-71 area. And I have seen some pretty bad stuff in my career in Iowa and Indiana, those areas. I don't believe I've seen anything to equal this.
The tornado warning is in effect until 6:30 for persons in Nelson, Anderson, Woodford, Franklin, Scott, Fayette, and Jessamine counties in Kentucky. At 5:16, as Louisville and southern Indiana began to survey tornado damage, more tornado warnings were coming in the direction of Frankfort. A tornado warning is in effect still for... While that new tornado warning was being repeated at 5:25, News Director Glenn Baston made contact with Governor Ford.
Glenn?
Yes, Governor. We're on the air live, sir.
Okay, it's pretty rough all over, and Louisville, of course, has been hit pretty hard. Judge Hollenbach has asked for the National Guardsman, and so has Mel Gentry, who is the acting mayor there. And we've already dispatched National Guardsmen to the fairgrounds, which has a unit's armory there, and the National Guardsmen out of St. Matthews have been called up, and we're sending units to Brandenburg, for instance, and up to Bedford and and Irvington area. So we're trying to prevent looting and that sort of thing if it should occur. I understand the weather's beginning to moderate some in Louisville. and hopefully we can get in there as fast as we can and assist those people in the best way we can. Our latest information is that all roads practically in and out of Louisville are clogged, and we just need the cooperation of the people there now to be calm and not get irritated. And there goes my phone again, and we'll just do the best we can in a bad situation.
Governor, I thank you. I know that phone's going to be ringing considerably. Again, thank you, and I won't take up any more of your time.
Glenn, we'll be glad to cooperate with you in any way. The helicopter report's been just wonderful, and we want to compliment everybody in Louisville for cooperating. We already have our command post up, I guess Tommy told you, at the fairgrounds, and we're doing everything we can. And under the circumstances, it seems like it's so little, but everything we have is at the people's disposal.
We have a little later update on that storm that was over Lebanon Junction earlier. Right now, radar shows that near Grafenberg, heading right for Frankfurt. And that was the big one down around Lebanon Junction about a half an hour ago. And right now, at 5:30, it's right near Grafenberg, heading for Frankfurt.
While concern mounted about other tornadoes present in Kentucky, information and official reaction regarding tornado damage began to pour in.
We have an important message here for all members of the Kentucky State Police who live in the Louisville area. They are to call the Elizabethtown post immediately.
The Madison Indiana Chief of Police, has asked Governor Otis Bowen to mobilize the Indiana National Guard. That request came as tornadoes bounced across Indiana, causing at least 11 deaths.
I'm with Walter Frederick, who is town marshal of the town of Palmyra. And Mr. Frederick, what is the extent of damage that you've noticed so far?
Well, the extent that we see from here and around that I have seen already, it's a strip here that's about 1.5 miles wide and no telling how long as of yet. It is almost totally demolished.
What is the situation from your office, Judge Hollenbeck?
Glenn, the worst problem of the storm is concentrated in the eastern part of the county. We've called out the entire 24-hour patrol.
It's now 9 minutes before 6, and the effects of this storm we're still tabulating here at WHAS. We have been told that there was some problem at the water company's main pumping station in Crescent Hill. Now, on the line with us at the moment is the water company's chief engineer, Frank Campbell. Frank, would you update us, please?
All right. I'm at the Crescent Hill pumping station. We had a direct hit from the tornado. All power is out. We have not assessed the full range of damage. We presume that when we get power again, that we will be able to pump water. However, the present situation looks very dark. We do have water stored in our reservoir. Normally it is an 8-hour supply. We've asked for an all-points bulletin for all unnecessary uses of water to be stopped, and through this manner we hope to stretch this supply. Now, in addition to this, we are investigating the eastern county area where water is supplied by booster pressure, and we do not know what the situation there is, but supplies there will be even more limited than for the city of Louisville.
Are all of your areas in the city affected, Frank?
Well, all our telephone communications are out to our instruments, and so we don't know what the levels are.
We're well aware of extensive damage in Louisville and Jefferson County, and news people and authorities are out in force now trying to find out where the hardest hit areas were, and there will be help there sometime within the next few hours, we can assume. This is WHAS News. The time is 6:02.
We might point out to those of you who probably are tuning in, or some of you are tuning in to hear the world tonight, we are going to preempt that broadcast because of the weather situation in Kentuckiana, so that we can continue to update that information. John Burke is getting a briefing from his people right at the moment. He is on the line, and as soon as he gets the latest from all of the meteorologists that he has on duty out at the National Weather Service, we will get the latest from him. We have had here in the studio, they have had in the newsroom, and they have had at our switchboard here at WHAS numerous reports of a tremor in the south end. Now, what this is, whether or not it is some side effect of the winds or something of that nature, we don't know. It is, quite honestly, at this moment, unexplained. But we are getting reports from the south end, the southern sections of Jefferson County, that they have had some sort of tremor. And for those of you who are located out there, as soon as we can track this down and get some explanation for it, we will give you that information. Well, something that we wish we did not have to report to you. Bob Johnson has just told us that there are at least 7 known dead in Kentucky as a result of the tornadoes, including 1 in Jefferson County. The death in Jefferson County reported from the city civil defense headquarters. We have no other details on that. The state police say that there are 2 known dead at Elizabethtown, 3 near Irvington and Meade County, another near Samuels and Nelson County. John, what's it look like now?
Well, Glenn, right now, radar is showing a well-developed storm down around Danville. Probably not as bad as the one that went through here. Nevertheless, it is a sizable storm, a dangerous storm. It's moving east-northeast to between 50 and 60 miles an hour. That would take it somewhere around the Richmond area, on over into the Madison County, Clark County, on over that area, the Richmond, Kentucky area. And the other one apparently moved near Frankfort. Whether or not it went across the city, we cannot say. It is east of Frankfort now, 10 miles or so east of Frankfort, heading in the direction of Georgetown, Paris, in that direction, but certainly I'm not trying to indicate it's going to strike those towns, but in that general direction. So persons in those areas, that's east of Frankfort, over in the Georgetown, Paris areas, on up into, that would be in Bourbon County, and on up into Harrison and Nicholas and Bath County. They're moving so rapidly, 50 or 60 miles an hour.
Fred Welch is on the line for me from Frankfort. And Fred, I understand that you saw the storm when it passed through the Frankfort area, and perhaps you can fill us in on what you saw there.
Well, I'll tell you, the way I saw it, of course, I saw it on the radar on television, and so I went up in the second story, and there's a door opens up, and so I was looking out the door and spotting it, and as soon as I spotted over to, I believe it's to the southwest a bit, I saw the turbulence, and I saw it snaking around there, and it passed, I judged around the interstate on the Kentucky River and came right along there and came through, let's say, southeast Frankfort in the vicinity of the interstate intersection with US 60, more or less between 421 and 60, what the locality is known as Jet.
Was there much damage in that area, Fred?
Well, sir, that's where the Ramada Inn is, and the industrial park. It half demolished the Taylor Tot factory. All telephone poles are down, trees are uprooted. There's a church, a Christian church out there. The roof is off. Of course, we couldn't go very far because of the traffic was tied up with the telephone poles and the trees and everything. But the way it looks, it took everything between, well, let's say, between US 421, which is a road to Lexington, and the interstate intersection.
Okay, thank you very much, Fred Welch. Here's Glenn Baston.
Right on.
Chuck, I hate to interrupt you, but we have been requested to ask all firemen and policemen in the Frankfort area to report to work. The Civil Defense Headquarters in Frankfort tells us that they need ambulances in the Frankfort area badly. This is all firemen and policemen in the Frankfort area. Please report to work. They also need ambulances badly, we are told by Civil Defense Headquarters in Frankfort. Now, we were told by the acting mayor, Alderman Gentry, just a few minutes ago on another line, that they are having a considerable amount of trouble with people attempting to sightsee. Please do not go out onto the streets of Louisville. They need all of the room that they can to move these emergency vehicles around and to get in and out. Bud, I've got the live microphone. Bud Harbsmeyer just walked in again.
We've been requested by police in West Point, Kentucky, to ask sightseers to stay off the roads leading to Brandenburg, Kentucky. Brandenburg, Kentucky was hit by a tornado also, apparently quite a bit of damage there. Kentucky Road 1638 has been closed to all but emergency equipment. And once again, the police at West Point are turning back all sightseers.
Glenn Baston,
Well, I have on the line right now, Byron, St. Louis University, the Department of Geology. When I merely introduced myself, you asked, did I feel the earthquake? What have we had?
You've had an earthquake of approximately magnitude 4.5 on the Richter scale. Our recordings of it so far indicate it occurred about 130 miles to the east of St. Louis, which would put it in southern Illinois, most likely. This is the largest earthquake in this area since the 1968 earthquake, November 9th. And we've had felt reports from the St. Louis area, Springfield, Illinois, and now Louisville, Kentucky also.
We have just gone through a tremendous afternoon here of severe weather. We have a considerable amount of damage. There could be no relation in these two, I'm sure. Would that be a correct assumption?
There would be no relation whatsoever to this.
It's just a little after 7. It's 1 after 7 on WHAS Louisville. Give Byron a chance to get something cold down his throat. It was very, very strange sitting here this afternoon, reading all of the reports, not really knowing what was going on, and then just like a shock, that first report from traffic tracker Dick Gilbert about what he saw. And having had a large, vast experience in covering things like this all over the country, Dick said that this was one of the worst he had ever seen.
Glenn, do you have something new?
Well, I have a report on what has been happening over in Frankfort from a listener, Don Van. Don, our indications earlier was that Frankfort has indeed been hard hit in some sections and that they needed all the assistance they could get. What is your view?
Yes, sir. The eastern portion of the city has been basically flat. That's in the Jet area. We lost service stations, several trailers overturned. There's roughly 17 people injured at this time. They're trying to dig out from under the debris. They have the area cordoned off, of course, so no one can get in. We were coming through, and they stated that they didn't know how many injuries they would have, but we have help from Shelbyville, Shelby County, Franklin County, Woodford, and a couple other areas, and with ambulances, and it's a steady stream to the hospital.
Okay. Don, thank you for the call from Frankfort.
Okay, Glenn, Byron Crawford is here, and he was going to talk a little bit more about the curfew. But in all of this, talking about the curfew and the severe weather which is coming in, we did have the story a few minutes ago, and from our understanding it is accurate. At least 3 dead so far in the Louisville area, 14 dead across the state of Kentucky from tornadoes this afternoon so far. 2 of the dead were taken to General Hospital. 1 of the deaths reported in the St. Matthews area. Byron?
Chuck, I have some terribly grim news, and we always hesitate to put these figures on the air. But I've been in touch with authorities who are probably as close to the Brandenburg situation as you can be without actually being in the town of Brandenburg. And although the authorities caution me that they have not yet confirmed the figure, the unconfirmed figure of dead in Brandenburg is 22 persons.
Glenn Baston, you have some more information.
Well, I have Civil Defense Headquarters in Frankfort on the line now. Mr. Arnett, you tell me that you can indeed confirm that tragedy in the Brandenburg area.
Yes, the tornado pretty much hit Brandenburg full scale. We have a confirmed 23 casualties at Brandenburg.
What time, do you have any idea what time this all happened? Was this prior to Louisville, or?
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, say it again.
Well, I'm just trying to get some idea of what actually happened down there. There was a tornado. Did it sweep through a residential section, or do you have that information?
And, okay, they were right in the path of the tornado, and it walked right through town and just went on out the other side. It happened to hit the residential and business district, which of course netted all the casualties.
Was this late afternoon that this occurred?
I'm trying to look here at a report when it hit. I've got a number here about 4:10.
Glenn, you please pick this up. This is a reporter from the Meade County Messenger in Brandenburg, and would like to fill us in on what has happened.
Hello.
Yes.
This is WHAS?
Yes, this is Jane Willis with the Meade County Messenger in Brandenburg,
Yes,
and I wondered
Jane.
if you all wanted any information.
Please, we are on the air live now. Please give us all you have.
Okay, it happened right at 4:10. That is the time our clock stopped. The downtown section where we live and work is pretty much demolished. 3 people were taken out dead from the downtown area. There were a large number that were injured, whether seriously or not. You know, we heard these reports of people being taken out on doors. It was true. That's what we had to carry them out on. The 24 figure that has been given by the state policemen, they have set up a morgue at the high school. One that we know was dead was Robert Dressel, who was a councilman at Muldrow, a city councilman. And he was killed in the downtown area. And he has been identified. There is at least one missing that we know of, that we know missing. It's just terrible.
Jane, our reports from Civil Defense Headquarters used a figure, I think, 23. You are saying 24 plus 1 missing, is that correct?
The state patrolman told me 24. And one of my friends said we can't find this friend's mother. And
what about the physical property of the town? What happened to that? What has it done to Brandenburg?
Well, it's in a shambles, an absolute shambles.
Glenn, we have an emergency call here from Frankfurt. Those people in Frankfurt were, of course, hard hit today, and they need drug supplies very badly, apparently, drug supplies of all types.
It's 10 minutes of 10 from WHAS Louisville, Kentucky. We did have a bit of an earthquake in the Ohio Valley this afternoon. It was centered in southern Illinois. They also tell us that it was one of the larger earthquakes that we've had in some time. Milt, how about coming over here? I think that might solve our problem somewhat. You have been outside. I saw you walking in the front door. Have you seen any of the areas in town that have been hit?
No, I have just seen some extraordinary film footage that our photographers and reporters have done. And I have talked to as far away as Bloomington, where they've had some earth tremors there, but I have not seen it in person. Hello, this is Metz. Come in, please.
Yes.
You're on.
Mr. Metz?
You're right, sir.
Mr. Metz?
Yes.
Sir, my name is Leon Allman, and I live here in Louisville, right in Shively, and I've been hearing quite a bit about the devastation down in the Brandenburg area. And I know that a lot of people are like myself. There are a lot of small communities around Brandenburg, and no one is able to get a telephone call into these areas. As an example, Paynesville, Webster, Midway, little towns around Brandenburg that many of us in Louisville have relatives in those little towns around in that same county, and haven't heard any reports of it all. So if there's anyone that knows anything about what's happening, as an example, in Paynesville, in Meade County, and Webster, Meade County, if they would call in and let us know how those little towns are faring. Now, they're real close to Brandenburg, but we haven't heard anything. And we can't get any telephone calls down there, and they can't call us either. So, and I know I speak for quite a few people who in this area who do have friends and relatives in the little communities around Brandenburg. If some of them would call in, I think they'd be doing a service to your listeners.
Yes, and you have done a service to us, sir, by noting that, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Now, it's possible that someone may have been in that area if phone service is out, and when they get out of the area would be good enough to call us here at 585-2385 with news of those small communities. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good night. This is Metz.
My name is Charlie Pickerel. I work at the Ford truck plant in the pre-delivery building. Along about 12 minutes to 5, a fellow from Dealers Transport asked me to come out and look and see what was going on in the skies.
and I went out and looked towards the southwest. Here was this tornado coming down, and just as it touched down, you could see just sparks and everything coming far, and just explosions. I imagine it's just a Crescent Hill Reservoir, and we watched this tornado for, I guess, maybe 4 or 5 minutes as it traveled up 42, just completely just tearing up everything. You could see roofs flying in the air and debris, and it would raise up from time to time, and in a period of 3 or 4 minutes, it just completely just disappeared.
A sensational, disturbing sight.
I never saw anything like it before in my life, and I hope I never see it again.
Right, sir. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Here's a note from WHAS News. Hanover College in Indiana suffered a direct tornado hit in the storms that hit Kentuckiana. Most of the trees on campus were destroyed, as well as 2 sorority houses. There are no reports of injuries. I repeat, no reports of injuries. School officials at Hanover say all the students are safe and all have shelter. No need for parents to worry. 585-2385, Milton Metz here. Hello.
Mr. Matt?
Right.
This is Lieutenant Dixon, the Army Ammunition Plant in Charlestown.
Lieutenant who?
Dixon.
Welcome, sir.
We have several hundred people here that live in the Louisville area, and they are wondering how they're going to get home if possible. Have you received any word on if they will be allowed to travel the streets?
Well, let me put it this way, Lieutenant. There is a voluntary curfew over all Jefferson County till 6 a.m., but there is a mandatory curfew for a portion of eastern Jefferson County, and I understand that this is iron-bound, that even if one lives in that area, that one is not allowed to go in there. So it depends on where they live. But my other information, and I have Byron Crawford here from WHS News, is that people are free to go outside of the mandatory curfew area. Is that right, Byron?
Milton, I have been led to believe from one of the police officials in the last hour or so that an absolute curfew has now been put on Jefferson County, the entire county.
I beg your pardon, this is the operator. It's 585-2385 on here.
That is right.
Can you give me another number to reach Milton Metz? We have an emergency from the governor's office.
This is Milton Metz, and you're speaking to him. Come in, please.
Hello, Milton.
Yes, how are you, Governor?
I'm doing fair under the conditions, Milt. We thought you've been having some questions about Frankfurt, and I tried to bring you up to date on what we have here. The county judge and the mayor have asked for a curfew until 6 a.m. in the morning. We've had 4 reported deaths in this area. The King's Daughters Hospital had to give first aid and send casualties on over to the University Medical Center. And by the way, Milt, the University Medical Center had 10 medical teams available. Time we made the call at the center over there to give assistance to the hospital over here, they were here in 25 minutes with police escort. Probably the most tragic day in history of Kentucky, Milt. It's just bad all over, and we're just doing everything we can do. The federal disaster people will be on the ground at 6:30 in the morning. I've already talked with Mr. Cradle, who will be the coordinator for the federal people. Elmer Beckett, our civil defense man, will be the coordinator in Kentucky for the state. I've been in contact with Fort Knox and Fort Campbell, and they've been authorized to move in any direction that they have equipment and men available to assist in any of the areas that have damage. Stamping ground was the latest problem about an hour ago, I guess, maybe a little more if you haven't had that one. That little community was just flattened.
No, we have not had that, Governor.
Yes, so I have an update on the fatalities, which is a total of 66 confirmed in the state so far.
Eventually, the Kentucky fatality list would total nearly 80, nearly 50 in Indiana. 2,000 homes in Kentucky left uninhabitable. Damage in both Kentucky and Indiana would amount to better than $100 million. It would be days before the WHAS programming schedule would be back to normal, decades before evidence of the tornadoes could be erased. A national weather scientist the next week termed the April 3rd tornadoes the worst in the nation's history, saying that without the efficient warning systems and public awareness of safety precautions, the death toll in the South and Midwest would most certainly have been in 4 figures.
Day of disaster. A WHAS Radio News special. A sequential review of the April 3rd tornado destruction in Kentucky and southern Indiana.